but we're not going to roll the show out yet. I'm going to check and see that the tech side of it's okay. Let's see here.
Yeah, because I got a lot of lag.
You do?
Yeah. I got it.
Okay, so when we talk, we just pause. When you know what I mean. It's not going to be perfect, but you know what? It's perfectly imperfect. How's that?
We're perfect.
We're having this conversation,
and everybody's watching us.
Yeah. That's okay. We're good. All right. So let me go over here. Yeah, this is how we do it. It's just raw. Make sure that it's on the page because I don't see it, and I don't see if anybody can hear us out there. Wait a minute. So here we go. Okay, it's now on the page. We got 18 people in the house. We're going to roll the show out in just a minute. Hello, John Montgomery it's working. From Ireland. Thank you for your continued love and support. Nasia Sia is always here. Thank you. Lainey Reed from Florida. Michael Van Patten. Jania Gazda from Vienna. Kelly B. Sparkling. Yeah, it's on now. No, you're on my page. Go on my page. Yeah. Johan Jacobson, Nadine, Neri Baker, Monica Peterson, Nancy Hodges, Jody Lee's in the house. Thank you, Jody Lee, for always coming and showing up. Nadine Baker, Jackie Farrow, Sylvia Giza. Good to see you. And Ann Killick from New Zealand, Linda Winger. 33 people in the house. Raya Williams, Barbara Parker, Galveston, Texas. All right. So we got a really special show today in typical Soulogy fashion. Spontaneous, intuitive, creative, and imaginative. There's no just make it up as we go. As telling our esteemed guest, I'm getting downloaded as I'm talking to you from the masculine side of things. We just make things up as we go. And so this all came together really quickly. Let's see. Okay, we got everybody on now. Ela Rae connected with Morgan Lee, and Morgan Lee connected me with Ela Rae. And feeling about this because every time we have problems on a show, it always ends up being a great show. So I just want to say to Ela Rae, she is doing what we've been honored to be a part of and support. This is a platform, particularly in 2019, for the divine feminines that have been doing so much work after being suppressed, that energy being suppressed for so many of them are stepping out now. We just had 3 do it this past week, if not more. One of them was Marita Shashan from Israel. Another was Melissa Ford, and went through the hoop of fire and came out on the side. And I think this is a great thing because it's going to bring more and more people like Ela Rae out to share their wisdom and their experience and their love. So Ela, thank you for joining us today, sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. Welcome to Soul Speaks 5D.
Well, thank you so much, Todd. Can I tell you, just thank you and Morgan all day long today. I don't know if it was consciously or just purely soul to soul, but I have felt so much love wrapped around me all day today because it was scaring the hell out of me to be on live stream and coming out of my little hidden corners and coming out into the open. So, but I felt so much love and support. It's like I've been wrapped in this big blanket of love and support and just so much nurturing and feeling so safe doing this with you guys today. So thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you. We're going to get these difficulties. Everything's going to be fine. Voices of the Mother Goddess, the divine feminine that this world has been needing. Know the story now. So I have found that the highest activations on these shows, almost 800 shows now, have come from the conversations that we have. Even more powerful than the important downloads, transmissions, and channelings that we all get. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to ask you the most famous question on Soul Speaks 5D, which is, when did you wake up?
2005. 2008. Does that make sense?
2005
Yes, sir.
through 8?
Yes, sir. In 2005, my daughter was born on June 14th, early. I had a cesarean. We got home from the hospital on the 21st on the solstice, which I knew nothing about the importance of the solstice at that time. It was my anniversary with my husband. He walked out, we got home from the hospital, and he left to live with another woman. So, and I was in the middle of nursing school at the time. I have my son was 6 and he has a lot of challenges, and my whole world got turned upside down. So, and then 2000, well, you know, the 2000, we got divorced in 2000. Oh, go ahead.
We have that lag we're going to deal with.
Okay.
You got divorced in 2008.
Yes. And I had already started waking up, but the day I got divorced, the very here to serve in total and complete surrender is the message I got. And I was like, that sounds cool. You know, excited, you know, so you're experiencing. Little did I know what the hell that was going to mean. Total and complete surrender. So, you know, all hell broke loose literally when I got divorced. I guess like I really let go of a lot of old baggage.
You know, I've asked that question hundreds of times. No one has ever answered that question that way. But when you said that and you said, I actually can now say that from 2011 to 2014, I was waking up. Something happened like that happened with you, and I flipped and went into my own world, but I really didn't know what the hell was going on for 3 years. So I totally get what you're saying. Thank you for that explanation.
Well, no, and I had a general and somewhat intuitive knowing things, but you didn't truly know what it was. It just was what it was.
Now, did you start receiving, did you start mainlining infinite intelligence? Did you start receiving information that didn't just apply to you on a personal level, but also on the collective level at that time, or did that come later?
No, it was instantly. For the next 2 to 3 weeks, I received that you're here to serve in total and complete surrender. I was told that you were going to be fired from your job that you're at in 6 weeks. And then for 2 to 3 weeks, I wrote for 2 weeks. It was all about the I am being with you, in you, the I am that I am. It was just pure I am within you, all about going within. So yeah. it literally turned on, and I opened up, and I was multidimensional right from the very beginning. Right from the time.
And what was that? Yeah. And what was that like? What was that experience like to be opened up and multidimensional immediately?
You know, it was okay for me because I've always been a touch of that ADHD, very distractible. I can jump from thing to thing very easily. You know, I'm in the middle of one thing, jump to something else. So it was easy in that regard. It was difficult in that nobody I knew in our Reiki communities and our energy circles where I am, nobody was having these experiences yet. And even the energy that I was seeing and understanding was not energy that had come in yet. And most people that I was involved with, it just hadn't started coming in yet. So right from the beginning, I'm opening up like instantly, and I'm opening up outside the box already within the community. That's the only community that I felt supported and I felt normal in.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to explain to the audience that we have a lag. So what we're going to do is we're going to, when I'm done talking, you might want to pause, Ella, just for 10 or 15 seconds and then answer, because there's some feedback.
Okay.
And that's okay. We've dealt with it before. So we're gonna work with the sound as best we can. I'm gonna move. I'm being told I need to move. So let me move. Yeah, getting back to what you were saying now, and the reason I'm asking this stuff is because there's a lot of people waking up right now, and they're going through the same thing a lot of us did. How did you handle being a mother in your normal life with all this stuff going on?
You know, I got very lucky. I was working as a nurse in a hospital when I got divorced, and I woke up. And I was told that I was going to be fired in 6 weeks. Sure enough, I was fired in 6 weeks. Very marketable with the training I had. There's no reason on a human level why I did not have a job offer before I got fired. The day I got fired, I was driving home. I got a phone call from a woman who said, you know, I know you have not applied for this job, but I keep seeing your resume and I feel like I'm supposed to interview you if you're open to it. And this was for a hospice job as a hospice nurse. So hospice was not my plan. My plan was to be an ER nurse. So I drove, you know, I ended up in an interview. I got fired 3 hours later. I'm having an interview for a job. They offered me a job making $1,000 a week to work on the weekend, and all I had to do was carry a phone and answer phone calls and field any emergencies that came up. So I was very protected from spirit, where I worked maybe 10 hours a week. I carried a phone. I made $1,000 a week, and then, you know, this is in the U.S. That's more than enough for me to take care of my children. And I really got very isolated and protected from the rest of the external world while I really started to balance and integrate all of that multidimensionality. I was, you know, I was seeing things on every realm. So,
like what were you seeing in those early
you know,
days?
from initially, it was more in things that I could wrap my mind around. It was spirits showing up. A patient had passed. They'd show up in my room at night and say, hey, Ella, just wanted to let you know I've passed. My family doesn't know it yet, but I'm out of here, you know. It was going when someone was very close to passing, and I would see almost that light opening up over the house and seeing angels around the house. And this was all in a way that it was comfortable. It was within the realm of our humanness. You know, we accept angels, we accept, you know, spirits, you know, people passing. So those experiences were happening. Fairies kicked in, the goddess energies kicked in, galactic lives kicked in, and any man that I got involved with at any of that point, it was like instantly I knew our past lives together. So it took a lot of alone time. It definitely took a lot of quiet time. A lot of baths. There was plenty of times that I wasn't, you know, taking a shower, taking a bath, and just crying in the tub. You know, you're curled up on the floor and you're crying and just saying, please, because there was so much coming in at moments that I thought I was going crazy at times. And moments. And it was just like, you know, this is where I belong. I am meant to be here on earth. I was like, this is where I need to be. I need these energies to balance out. If I can't use this information here to live my life here on earth. And so it was many rounds of that over the years, you know, and as well as everybody else knows, all the healing and our old stuff that comes up that just has to go. But working in hospice, I was always very protected because I didn't have a lot of responsibility working on the weekends, that I had plenty of time to grow into all these aspects very fast. Wow. You know, spirit creation always protects us. It's always around us, protecting us and giving us exactly what we need and all the support we need. I just didn't realize at that time how very protected I was.
So looking back to that time and where you are now and where we are now, that's a lot of space that was traversed, right?
I mean, it was.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff going on.
Yeah, 10 years worth.
What does it look like now? Like say just the past few weeks. Is the past few weeks noticeably different to you than all the stuff that you've been through prior?
Yes. In November, I got it. I knew last fall I needed to sell my house. I bought that house as a brand new nurse, as a single mom, right out of nursing school. Every aspect of the journey occurred in that house. The healing, the awakening, the integration, the highs, the lows, the feeling crazy, every aspect of life occurred in that home. It was the first time in my life, also, I'd had safety and security. It's the only safety and security I've known in my whole life in that house that I bought for me and my children. And last year, it was very clear, I knew all year long I was going to have to sell my house. So I sold my house on November 2nd. I closed on my house and sold my house. I had completed my last day of it as a hospice nurse. I let it all go. Everything got let go. Anything left that was left was released, and took the equity in my home. And for the last 3 to 4 months, it's been very challenging the last 3 to 4 months, because the last things that tied me to any part of my old life is completely gone. Along the way, I had a complete legal name change too. Ela Rae was not my given name. The house was the last thing that was still in my name prior to that. So when I sold the house on November 2nd, we had put everything in storage because spirit had not come through. Knowing had not come through. Where are we going next? I'm sitting here, the safety and security challenged again because I'm a single mom. There's no knowing. Nothing is open up. No apartments are opening up. And we finally put everything in storage, and we took off and went to Florida and went to play at Disney World and Universal Studios for 2 weeks, because spirit was just, it scared the hell out of me again, because I'm a single mom. I got 2 children. I got 2 dogs and 3 cats, and I got a whole household. All those human things came up again. When we moved into our apartment, towards the end of November, there was still some battling going on, because in that human realm, in our human world, I just let go of a perfectly good house with a brand new roof and a brand new air conditioning unit. These are all the logics of the human. My mortgage was $900 a month. I had a great job working 10 hours a week and getting paid full time. I had created this beautiful absolute reality for these last couple of years, where it was so easy. It had gotten to be so easy, and I let it all go. And now I'm in this place and gave up all that safety and security to take this next step and start talking to you, I guess, and step into the next realm, the next leg of the journey. And none of it makes any freaking sense, Todd. I look crazy. Give up a job and give up your house and walk away and live on equity. All those logical human things we do. None of it makes logical sense. But I couldn't be in my house anymore. I could not be in my job anymore. And not because it wasn't, everything was perfect. Energetically, everything was closing in, and I was being suffocated because I was no longer meant to be there. So,
wow.
So back in the, when you was like, you're here to serve in total and complete surrender, I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. And I was like, what the hell was I fucking thinking?
Well, your dream came true. Your dream came true.
Now it is total peace, though. It's like, it's total peace now. It's a total understanding that all of creation, all of God, the universe, everything out there is so totally and completely supporting me and my children, and nothing can go wrong. And every step of the way, I'm just gently, you're being nudged. Just like I felt from you and Morgan today. It's just, it comes around you and it's supporting you, and it's not being told this is the way forward. It's very gentle and nurturing now. It's just an absolute.
Is it still a little scary?
It was up until about 3 weeks ago. When we moved, about I had to let go of everything, including my absolute love, my dog. She was the love of my life up until her passing. I left hospice, I left nursing, I let go of absolutely everything. And my dog was a young dog, and she was my lovey. She snuggles in bed and always slept with me. She went everywhere with me, the purest form of love I've ever known. When we moved here, and within a few weeks of us moving here, she got sick and she died very fast. And that was my last tie, because I had bought her with a man I was involved with many years ago. We had gotten her. And also needed to write my book I was working on. I know I shared in an email. I was working on my book. It's a whole book of hospice experiences I've had over the years. But I didn't have my own personal experience. And after I just let go of everything out of my life, I had to let go of my dog, my lovey. And she was just pure love. And after she passed, and I knew why she was passing, I've done hospice too long to understand the significance and this in people passing and in the timing and how it happens, that I knew with her when she passed, I let go of the last bit of absolutely anything that tied me to anything. And it let me go of every fear and every trauma and any little last residual. There's nothing left but pure peace. There's nothing at this time that can get to me. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just, I'm in this place of absolute utter peace, and everything just is. It's not about anymore. It's not about striving all these different things to reach the new earth or to awaken. It's like you're in this place now, and everything I ever searched for, everything I've ever known that I was searching for, it's truly been here all along. It's just right here. But I went on this long journey to find it. And when I found it, I realized it's always been here. It's the paradox. I'm sure you've seen plenty of paradoxes along the way.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm rambling and I'm talking because I'm nervous.
No, that's okay. That's perfect. I mean, this is perfect. This is gold. So now you found yourself in this place. How far? And I'm saying these things or asking these things because so many people are experiencing them, including myself. So, how far ahead can you see?
I can't.
Yeah,
it's just like, and that was the big transition when I finally had no choice but to put everything in storage. There was no knowing. It was just absolutely in the present moment. And as a single mom with kids and dogs and cats and a whole household, and I was just released from the only stability I'd ever known, it scared the hell out of me. What am I going to do with 2 kids and 2 dogs and 3 cats and and the whole thing, and not knowing? So, but even now, it's just very much, I don't know what's happening tomorrow. I don't even care anymore. I don't even have the energy anymore.
Would you say that you're being led day by day, moment by moment?
Totally in the present moment for the most part. There's a few things, like I know my book that I wrote is at the editors right now. Like I know that I need to reach out to the cover designer. I know all these things need to be done, but it's like until I feel that energy, okay, now it's time to reach out, I don't do it. But I know the things that are coming in the stages.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I have enough money for about 7, 8 months living with the kids. So it does cross my mind, okay, I do need to get this book published. I need to create these other things because this money is going to last so long. So there's a little bit of that residual left. But I have no doubt, it's all going to flow.
Yeah. Now, it sounds to me like that you're getting, I don't know how else to put it, but you're getting all your information now from within yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But do you have, is there a presence, a galactic star family presence, communication visitation, anything like that, as
No.
time has gone on?
No, that probably ended for me as far as guides, angels, galactic beings, anything. All of that stopped for me probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I felt so abnormal at that time because I had guides, I had angels, I had teams, I had all of these things around me, these beings, and they disappeared. And for a while, I thought that there's something wrong with me. Like, what is wrong with me? Everybody else is still seeing it. But they disappeared. And as I grew and I began to understand, what I understand is that it's not about me connecting with the guides or the angels or maybe a galactic life here or a galactic planet here. It was all of that fell away for me to connect straightly with the source of creation.
Yeah.
And it's an absolute direct line and a oneness. And it's not to say that all these other things weren't valid. They were vibrational stepping stones, like a ladder along the way. And each one rose me higher and higher and higher to be able to plug into the heart of creation.
Yeah.
But what I have found is that by having to go so deeply within, so before it used to be, I had my physical reality here, my normal earth life that we all have. I had my relationship with God and spirit here. Within to soul. The more I went within, it's like the soul and the heart is that bridge to the physical and into spirits. And the deeper I went within, the more the oneness and pure creation and pure source can just flow through you.
Yeah.
But you can't get there without going within and opening your heart and being vulnerable, truly opening your heart. It's that awakening to your soul. You know, to me, the soul is the bridge. It's where we bring heaven to earth. It's where that all connects and it comes to earth. Because there was a period in my journey, I'm way out here in spirit, or I'm very much doing a physical life. It doesn't do me any good to be way out here in spirit. I'm here on earth. This is where I'm meant to be. This is where my journey is at this point. So, but I would go from spirit to physical, that balancing, you know, there was no but when the guides disappeared, I could only go within, and that's where the connection happened and where then the channel can just open straight and just flow. But it's the deeper and deeper you have to go within, the more and more you have to let go of. And you have to let go of all your beliefs, and you have to be willing to open your heart and be vulnerable and open to people with no expectation of getting anything in return, just being open and vulnerable for the pure sake of being open and vulnerable. And that's scary for all of us. You know, it's scary. We've all been hurt.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a story that I've heard, and I've experienced it at times. But it's like what you said. You have this relationship, and then you wake up one day and you're like, where did everybody go? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like a microcosm of the whole trip, which is self-reliance of the soul.
Yes.
You know, so it's like they leave, and I remember reading this in a book, and then I remember hearing people say it and they said that where did they all go? And then eventually, you know, that's what it led them to was being reliant on themselves, going within themselves, and ultimately that total surrender, total vulnerability, and to me, I want to get your perspective on this. This whole instant manifestation and The Secret and law of attraction, all that stuff. I don't think anyone had a clue, because the way this thing seems to be unfolding, it is a manifestation steered or commandeered by that inward journey, but it is something that is in your highest and best interest. But we have no idea what that is. It just we every time we start to try to frame it up and structure it, you know, and marry our desires with whatever, it just doesn't work. What's your perspective?
I think it is a very good introduction on a 3D, maybe moving into 4D level of introducing people to higher concepts. But what I have found is anything that I truly desire happen in my timing. It doesn't happen in my way. Usually if there's a direction, back in the day, I needed to face where's my unworthiness, or where's my abundance blocks, or where's this block, or what needs to be healed there. I think what I have found is that the law of attraction for me does not exist. It's what is in alignment with my soul. In my soul, there's instant manifestation for what is directly in alignment with my soul and my next step in my purpose. Yeah. But I don't have the even back before I woke up. I went to nursing school. I was a brand new nurse. I was doing everything to be a trauma nurse, an ER nurse. That's what I wanted to do. And I was taking all the classes. I was very motivated. I had everything going for me in a 3D world for me to manifest that type of job. Soul was saying, no way, that's not the way you're going to go. You're going to get fired. And not only are you going to get fired, but instead of being an ER nurse where you're saving people, you're going to be a hospice nurse as people are passing and transitioning to the next phase of whatever their journey is. So manifestation has never, ever, ever worked for me. I know it does for some people. It doesn't for me.
Well, I think my point is it's not the human operating the instant manifestation. Like you said, it's the soul. the human's got to get out of the way there. Yes. Let me ask you this. You've got some sentient souls, some would call dogs and cats, in your life. You've got children, special child, a young child. What role have these souls played in your evolution over the last few years?
Everything. My son now is 20. He was born with some sort of genetic disorders. Back in my early awakening, he just reminded me of an early crystal child. I don't subscribe to the crystal and indigos and all that stuff anymore, but that was earlier in my journey. He and I have been in every single life together that I ever remembered, even in my galactic lives. We have always been in supporting roles with each other. We have never, ever been in a romantic role with each other. And so it seems like the roles flip in different lives. Like one life I know of that came through when he was about 7 or 8 he was like a bishop in an old church, stained glass windows over in somewhere in Europe, Italy or something. And I was an orphan boy. And he reached down and he hugged me and he brought me in and he adopted me into the church. And he taught me everything I knew about God from the place of I am, not the religious structures. Yeah. Now, in this life, he has his challenges, but his energy is so anchoring and grounding that he holds the space for me and my daughter for our role in this world. His energy is just so very, very ancient. I could not have been a single mom all these years without his energy and our soul connection and the important role he has played. And what I found over the years is the higher I rose in my vibration, my understanding, connection, whatever word, the higher his own ability to do better here on earth. A lot of the challenges cleared up. So it was almost like in direct relation to my vibration. My daughter, if she's been on earth, it might have only been one time. How I see it is she is light, and it's almost like she surfs on rainbows. That's the image I got. Is surfing on rainbows, whatever galactic place she is from. She came to me because she knew that she would not get caught in the density, but that she knew that she was needed here in this realm due to all the changes taking place at this time. But she knew my soul's journey, the soul agreements that we have, however that works. and that she was not going to get lost in the density. When she was born, my husband, her father, runs such an old energy. She was born on the 14th. By the solstice, he was out of the house. During my pregnancy, he already started having an affair. Her energy was already clearing the space for him to move out of the house, for that old, denser energy to move out of the house, so we could, me and my two children, could move forward as a soul unit into whatever, wherever we're heading. I could not be here without my children. They've always been homeschooled. They have never been to public school or anything, or they've never even been to daycare.
Wow.
Be children, but there's such a strong soul unit and agreement and connection between all of us. There's just this natural innate flow that occurs. My daughter, she blows me away. It's just the innate wisdom. Like, we talk about awakening and going to the new earth, and that has no consciousness for her, because she was born a new earth child. She was already born into the new earth vibration. So she can't even comprehend people doing that journey.
Wow. So let me ask you, what do you think, well, from your perspective, what is the impact of a soul like your son or like your daughter on the 7.5 billion souls on the face of this earth? Just staying with that alone, what's their impact? Souls like that, souls like you, or any soul, what's the impact? How many souls do they actually touch through the ether?
I've never really given it much thought. I guess we're not, I guess I don't comprehend in a sense that we're here to impact people. How I see it is we are here doing life, and we are doing life together. And whether we're going to Walmart and my kids, just because they have good manners, help somebody load stuff into their car or bring the cart back, or if they're reaching out to help people in other ways, it's just, we're not here choosing to impact people. We're here choosing to do life with life all around us. So it's like whoever we touch, wherever we go, all of us are just impacting people everywhere we go based on our choices and how we choose to interact with people. And it doesn't matter. Like, I live in Charleston, South Carolina. There's a lot of old dense energies here, a lot of slavery. This was one of the hearts of slavery way back when. But there's just being awake or living on earth or new earth or this earth or that earth. It truly is, just being good people and interacting with your community around you.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of where I differ at times. Like, I know everybody's like, it's waking these people up and waking those people up and helping them. And I don't see my role as waking people up. My role, and I learned this in hospice, is as a hospice nurse, when I walk into someone's house, I know they're going to die at this end of our journey here, but I don't meet them where they're going to be. I meet people where they're at right now. And when meeting people where they're at here and from a place of love, it doesn't matter to me if they're awakening or not awakening. It's just when we meet heart to heart, not all that falls away. It doesn't matter, because in the heart, nothing else exists.
Yeah. I've got to ask you a question. Does, I hope I get this right, Lexington County, South Carolina, mean anything to you?
That's up in Columbia.
Columbia area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's probably about 100 miles from here, 100 miles.
You're in Charleston. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't call me sir. I'm not that old.
Sorry, I've been in the South so long.
Me too. I get in trouble all the time. I get slapped all the time. Saying ma'am. Yeah. Powerful. Yeah. I was just want to know, like, from your experience, when you're seeing the whole, I feel that any of us and all of us affect the entirety of it, just like you said. It's all connected. But I love your perspective, and I love what you're saying, because it's so down to earth. And I find on these shows, I say it over and over again, that human, the human explanation, the human experience, the human interpretation, or at least when the human is carried in honor, respect, and love and reverence in the things that are expressed, that's where our biggest activations come. So I love your explanation. Thank you for sharing that. Where do you think? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said, well, at the end of the day, in order to really impact people, we have to be down to earth. You know, like back in the older vibrations or some of the other structures, if I'm a Christian and I want you to be Christian like me, that's not going to bring anybody to Christianity. But it's like going in and just loving people and being where they're at. We are bringing heaven to earth. We have to bring it down to a level where we can connect with real people. Because this is a real experience. You know, all of us go through this experience. We're crying. There's times we're all curled up, but there's probably times that we're all cussing out spirit, and all of us times saying, you know, I don't want anything more to do with this. And all the ups and downs and highs and lows, these are very real experiences here that we're experiencing. And it sucks sometimes. The truth of the matter, it sucks while we're bringing heaven to earth. It does while we're working through this.
I'm glad I'm not the only one going through that. But now you say you
female Pisces, so try female Pisces with all the emotions. So what were you gonna say?
No, well, I was going back to what you said earlier, which I can resonate with. You know, I think Morgan and I can resonate with. There's still that that non-guarantee that, like we said, how far can you see ahead? You can't. There seems to be more peace, but there's still. And these moments that you're talking about, when we just want to say, beam me up, get me the hell out of here, they seem to be less frequent. They can be intense, but they're just not really long periods. But how do you see this thing unfolding? I mean, if you had to be a prognosticator, a seer, how do you see this thing happening? I mean, is it
which thing? My personal journey, or on a collective level?
Yeah. Just your personal journey, and as a whole, as it runs, so will the collective run. I mean, is it just going to be more and more put into the isolation of the moment, so that we, in essence, do what you did and lose all your guides and everything, and just keep going within? And I mean, does anybody know? Does it matter? I don't know. I
don't know about the collective, because as much drama and chaos as what appears to be out there, I just see how perfect everything is. There is no longer any attachments for me to, say, our government in the United States. That's a hot topic for so many people. It's all perfect.
Yeah.
There's no attachment. Like once the attachments and everything finally got cleared with when my dog died and everything else that went through, everybody is perfectly where they are. I don't need to change anybody. I don't need to wake anybody up. I just need to be here and live in my truth and be the love I am. And that's going to touch people wherever it's meant to. I don't believe I have to do anything more than that. And you know what? This world has gone through so many cycles for thousands. And there's going to be destruction, and there's going to be people growing. And, history has shown us things repeat itself over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, I don't know. I don't know what tomorrow holds, let alone for the collective. We're all on our own journeys, but this one journey at the same time.
Yeah.
But for me, my book, like I see, my whole book is going to be is a combination of all these hospice stories, and some are seeing through the beyond the veil, and some aren't, and some are healing stories. So when I do publish that book, there will be a link when I build the website where people can click on a link and they can share their story. So I'm casting out this book of love, all this love and experiences that are going to, this deeply heart touching. People are going to open up and share their stories, and then their stories, I'm going to be able to do a compilation of their stories and gift all their stories back out. So where I'm first reaching out, people give back. And then I have a book filled with a bunch of stories, and all of their love is reaching out. So we're continuing to expand that net of love, all by doing it.
No, I'm loving it. Well, as more of y'all step up, my job is becoming the easiest job in the world.
How's that?
Well, Morgan finds y'all, and I just have to, ask a couple of questions, and y'all do the rest. No, it's beautiful.
Oh my goodness, we had the best conversation about sacred unions, because I've been walking that path since 2011. Oh, we had the greatest conversation, and it was so nice to find someone that were like, well, what about this? And she's like, oh yeah. And when you're suddenly you're connected with people and you don't feel crazy, because I have been kept very isolated. And I think it's so I didn't take on other people's beliefs and perspectives. So then you're comparing notes with somebody talking, and it's like, wow, that's so cool. She's getting it too. I'm not crazy,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of coming out and speaking. People coming out and speaking. That's there's several, positives, but one of them is, and I see it in the comments all the time, I thought I was the only one. It's amazing. I mean, Marita Shashan was on 10 days ago, and she's been doing this 20 years. And 6 months ago, she found Soul Speaks 5D and said, oh my God, I thought I was the only one out here. There's a bunch of you out here. There's a bunch of you weirdos out here. When's your book coming out?
I don't know. It's at the editors right now. Yeah. It's going to be on Amazon. And I'm getting set. I have to be out of my apartment by March 15th too. So, my goal was to have it published by my birthday on March 17th, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen.
I think March is going to be a big month. March is going to be a big, big month.
You feel that? It feels like a big push into, I feel like, me and a bunch of my girlfriends right now have gone through similar experiences of moving in November. And it's like we're all in a transitional living space right now.
Yeah.
But it was to balance out the last of whatever old was here. Yeah. So that all finally balances out. So the next place, we're not carrying any of the old there at all. So this next place, they're just transitional places.
You sound like your sister over here.
What's that?
I said you sound like your sister over here. It's like talking to Morgan. Yeah, yeah. I do feel that. I've felt that for a while, that like January, February, you clear it all out, and March I just see like big sunny days and, spectacular things, even supernatural things happening, and the new grid or the new earth or whatever you want to call it really stabilizing, and, to where people just can't deny it. I mean, it's amazing. But when you get ready to publish, I would love, number one, I would love to have you back on and collaborate again, but also and not necessarily for the book, but when the book comes out, would love to have you on to help you roll that book out, so there can be more awareness of the book and what you're putting out there.
I got a question for you. What's up with all the guys? Every male I know out there, they are getting their ever loving asses kicked. Everything is being destroyed in every man's life that every one of my female friends knows. And we're just sitting there, and it's like we're sitting here holding the space in a sense, and we're just allowing it, not that we're allowing them their journey, but respecting that place that they're in. And they don't know what to do. Every every girlfriend I know that's involved, everything is falling apart for them.
Yeah. I, have been fortunate enough to create or be a part of or whatever, in a very, I guess what I'm trying to say is I know what you're talking about, and I've seen it, I've lived it, I've experienced it. I've had the guidance of a divine feminine incarnated, who's, a lot like you, who sees the things that you see, which I believe that most of the male incarnations are blind to because of the trip that we were on. But to answer your question, I see them starting to come out now. It's part of my mission. I really believe more than anything now, and I've been getting lit up for the last hour. So I'm like multi-dimensional transmissions while I'm talking to you. But I really believe that the more divine feminines like yourself that step up and start talking, the more the masculine will start to do the same. They can't do it without her. We're talking frequency, we're talking energy, but we're also talking incarnations to a great degree. They can't do it without her. And I didn't come up with this stuff. I had a great guide, teacher, friend, lover, whatever. And I'm just saying that I know that they can't see the trees for the forest, or the forest, whatever that saying is. They need her to step into her power. I think this is the year that that occurs, and I believe in the realm that we're in, at the time and space that we're in, we take as many frequencies as we can to create an ever-expanding vibration, and a big part of that is the verbalizing of it, like you did today. And we're actually going to have a show in an hour or so, where a couple of men and myself are going to get on there and talk about the masculine journey in the raw, and just keep that going. But we're following your lead. We're following your lead. We all know that the masculine energy was suppressed in a different way than the feminine was. They didn't talk to each other. They didn't talk to anybody. They hid their feelings. And I think, obviously the feminine energy collectively is stepping up, but the more that it's done in the physicality at the human level, like you said, down to earth, the more activations that will occur, the more courage and love and wisdom that will be, appropriated out into the realm, and they're going to pick up on it, but they are getting their ass handed to them on a platter. They are fighting it. It's very much a demasculating process, but they have to have their balls cut off, stripped down to nothing, start with nothing, not know what the hell to do, and begin from that point. And I think I've been fortunate enough to be on the front end of that. I'm not saying I'm there, but thank you for asking that question. And as much as I have been saying, anyone like yourself, divine feminine, that have been back there, that you're supported here, this is a platform for you. I'm also saying that to any man that has the courage to step up and say, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm getting my ass handed to me on a platter. Here's how I feel. These are the things that really wake everybody up, or help everybody expand. So thank you so much for asking that question.
You have time for a really quick. You have time for a quick insight.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And this is regarding my man in my life that we're coming into this union. And if he can't make the shift, it'll be okay. But what I have seen is early in our journey 3 years ago, when we came into each other's life, I had the fears, I had the doubts, I had the questioning, the lack of trust in a man due to my own wounding. Us as women. Found in the last month is 2 other girlfriends as well. Is we have come into such an absolute inner knowing of who this person is to us at this time. There's no question, there's no hesitation, there's no doubt. And what I've found is, with this absolute pure knowing that comes from the purest, rawest place of soul, no matter what their external reality is the force of soul, like the force, Star Wars, the force be with you, is this pure force of soul. They can no longer, with the soul connection that exists between us, he can no longer live this reality that he has been living. The force of soul is spinning off everything in the presence of his divine feminine counterpart as his feminine union partner. It has to be spun off. And it's not even about a place of being in free will at this point. It is the force of soul, that soul knowing, however you want to quantify it, is so directly linked in. Our souls are becoming one, and so linked. Soul is spinning off the old masculine for that pearl to emerge of the divine masculine that already exists within him, that he already is. It just is all the external is being spun off. Yeah. And that spun off is how we're seeing it, is how we assist our partners, is by being in our deepest inner truth and our knowing. We are not coming from a place of questioning or doubts or fears, that we have. Well, is he going to call me? What's going to happen? Those old fears we had in other areas. It comes from us as a woman, our pure inner divine knowing, the goddess within us, whatever way you want to word it. The knowing is so strong that it activates everything in them, and their life will be spun off. Yeah. Because they have to rise to the level of soul. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It makes total sense.
I would love to do a thing on here with me, with Morgan too. Like, Morgan, I would love the conversations. It would be great to have.
Would I have to be on? We were actually talking about it last night, and she was talking about how he has had to realize the false empowerment, realize what he wasn't, two, in that, had to look to her in a true reverence and honor and respect and love, and not just lip service. And then three, go find the real masculine, which I can only say from my own experience that absolutely comes when you've got nothing left. And I could give some very funny anecdotes about it, but I think I'll just wait till maybe another day. But it's the absolute truth.
Seems like those sacred unions, either one person is geographically a geographical distance, or one of the partners is still in a relationship of the old life that hasn't been tied up. And my man is still married and going through, but literally the beams underneath the house, the foundation of the house, split when he came back into my life in November. We've been out of contact for about 6 months. Literally, we came back into contact. The beams under his house literally shattered underneath his house. The whole foundation is collapsing right underneath his feet. And that's so symbolic of the immensity, I think, of what is occurring for a lot of the men right now.
Well, I think that speaks also to divine union. I woke up and I was given the word Soulogy, and I didn't know what the hell it was. I just kept going with it and building it. But it really didn't birth until she came into the picture. There was different elements of feminine influence, because the feminine were mostly the ones out there in these circles, and that's who I would interact with the most. But until she came in and that connection was made, I thought really that my mission was Soulogy. And then later on, I understood it was divine union, bringing divine union back to the planet. So I think there is going to be supernatural evidence, effects of these unions. And I believe it's inevitable. It's just like you said, the soul, she has, the feminine has found that knowing. And by finding that knowing, which is the root of creation, is spinning it all out. I mean, it's spinning everything out, and it's it's not even let go or be dragged anymore. It's just a matter of, when are you going to just surrender, like you said, where you were told, oh, this is cool, I'll just surrender. I mean, it's a fascinating subject. I believe my role here, my primary role is to bring divine love back to the planet, divine, through the vehicle of divine conscious union. And that story that you're telling me, I think we're going to hear more and more things like that. The supernatural, the miracles. I mean, we've lived it. We've seen things happen with them too. I mean, it's coming. It's here. It's not coming. It's here.
It is here. Well, and even in 2011 to 2014, I did tons of writing. How it came through to me is soul, then the word full, unions, so soulful unions. And it's about becoming the soulful unions. And I have the website bought and I have all this information. I've already created classes, but I've always been very aware is I don't roll this out until my man gets on the other side of some of the stuff. And he's more supportive. Like, when Paul Morgan showed up for you, you didn't take that, however it unfolded for you, but I need him in my life. Hey, Asher, no. But I need him, and it's not that human need. I need him in his presence and his kindness in order to create and bring this forward.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's yes. Yeah. This is a great subject. In fact, I'll talk to Morgan. I said this is a great subject. I'll talk to Morgan, and maybe if you're up for it, since you're here anyway. So, I mean, I think we should talk about this in an entire episode.
That would be awesome, like a powwow.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Let's put something on the schedule in the next few days, and Morgan and you guys can work it out, and we'll just play it by ear spontaneously and see who comes and who shows up and what we're gonna. But I think this is a very important subject. It's the most important subject because it is an energetic imprint in the physicality. It doesn't. We all know that it is within ourselves, but there's something about the integration of the physical and the non-physical that is so powerful. Maybe never even have been done before in the universal. And this is it. Divine union could be many things, but that love, that level of unconditional love, that expansion of love really is, I believe, the main purpose while we're here, expanding the outer breadth of Mother Universe. I mean, I think this is the most important thing we do. So I'd love to have you back on in the next few days and collaborate with you and maybe Morgan and some other people or whatever to talk about this at length, because there's nothing more important than this.
Yeah, and what it feels like to me as we're talking is like all the other stuff was the get to know you stuff of the conversation for me to come out of my closet. This is the heart, I think, of, my whole body is tingling now as we're talking about these soul unions, these sacred unions. It's like for whatever reason, the cat's out of the bag and I'm not going to be able to go backwards now, I've just stepped through a door energetic.
Yeah.
I have to be responsible and step out and share this. When you cross that threshold with spirit and all of a sudden you just realize you're like, hey, I just stepped through a door. Oh, crap. What is that going to mean now? That's how I feel. All of a sudden we talking about this. I was like, oh, what door did I just open?
Right.
In that positive way, in that really good way. You're like, I just opened a door.
There's no, and that's the funny thing too. It's not even funny, but the more doors we walk through, like these ones of the last, I don't know. I don't even know time anymore, but the last couple of days, it's like what I'm getting is like, game's over. There's no turning back. There's no, it's not going to make sense. Quit trying to make sense. Just go.
And I know you probably got to go, but one of the things that's coming up is I am not awakening. Okay, I'm going to say I am no longer awakening. I don't believe there was any awakening that ever needed to occur, yet I see the awakening all around me.
Yeah.
Now, does that make sense in the paradox?
I think yes. Yes, I think it does. I think because you're seeing from the eyes of I am, almost like, well, it's your manifestation of the earth, kind of. I mean, I I've had those thoughts too. Like I'm going to get to the end of this thing and find out I'm the God. I mean, like I did the whole thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't. Yeah. I do understand what you're saying. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I know you probably got to go. We're past time, but I want to give you. Can I give you a big hug?
Yeah. Here.
Give you a big hug. I love you so much, Todd. Thank you so very, very much for sharing today. I was so scared because I like hiding and being, obscure, nobody knowing me, and I know it's time to step out of the box and step forward. I got, there's too much to share and help.
Yeah, I really admire you for that, and I appreciate that more than anything. you know, because I know that it's opening up the doors for more and more of those just like you. And like I said, you know, I'm not kidding. It's going to make my job the easiest job in the world. All I got to do is just show up and say, welcome to Soul Speaks 5D, and then y'all can do the rest because, yeah, but this is what's necessary. This is what we've needed. And this is the year. And one thing I'm learning about this whole thing, it's nonlinear. So it's nonlinear in the aspect of, like I said, when's your book out? I don't know. Like, when's the Soulogy site going to launch? I don't know. But it's also nonlinear in the sense that the miracles can happen just like that. Like, I really believe that just the conversation we've had at the end of this show about divine union is a miracle. And from that energetic explosion, we're going to see the physical representation of it, as well as many divine feminines stepping up in this platform and other platforms and speaking about their experience and their truth and understanding they're not alone, they're not crazy, and they're actually infinitely powerful creation vehicles. You know, I mean, you know, I'm blown away. So I'm going to have to go lay down. I might have to have an afternoon cocktail. No, I was getting lit up the whole show. You know,
now, do you see fairies at all? Have you seen into the fairy realm in the past?
I have a couple of times. I was in the mountains in Arkansas, and I went into a swimming hole at midnight on a full moon, and I had a really extraordinary experience. And there was so many water nymphs and fairies on the banks that, you know, and of course I was still at that stage of, man, is this shit even real? But I was talking to them; they were talking to me. Yeah.
Well, I was going to warn you because I've popped many of people's fairy cherry in the past. Well, so lots of people I talk to, then all of a sudden they're seeing fairies and unicorns in the magical realm. And if you're being lit up,
you know what though? Now I have seen my share of things, but you know what? You mentioned unicorns, and for the first time about 2 days ago, and it's been, you know, that for me they always kind of build up like little, like, you know, they just like come like real subtle way, but I've been feeling the unicorn presence, and I think that means something. You know, maybe for me, I don't know. Maybe it's a collective thing, but I feel them coming. And I don't know what the hell it means. I don't know what they represent. It feels good, but I can feel it.
Unicorns are purity, absolute purity and oneness. Absolute purity, and it's just purity. It means, that's what it means to me.
Yeah, I had a session with Morgan the other day, and I can't remember all the details of it, but the way it came was, and I can't remember. It was a Father God and Mother God. I don't remember, but I remember there was these white animals, and I thought one was Pegasus, but I realized a day or two later it was a unicorn. So that since then, and that's funny you bring that up, because I think my feeling is we might be hearing more and more about that here in the next few days. You know, collectively.
And you see a lot of it out in the stores, a lot of unicorn merchandising over the last year or so, a lot more than ever. By me coming out today, coming out and stepping in, and even us transitioning into the sacred union stuff. Now, what that's going to mean for my man this weekend, for all these people involved, I took the next step in alignment with my soul. That means this weekend, his life is going to spiral even into more hell to let go of the in order for him to spin off, because he needs to get his ass over here. He needs to come home. He needs to be here. Do you know what I mean? So because I'm moving forward, it's my power.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If he needs any advice, I don't know what I could do for him, but I totally know what you mean.
Because you can't, as soon as your woman makes a decision or steps deeper into her power, the men over here, okay, I'm a smart ass, okay? So I hope this doesn't offend your audience. But, you know, we step more into our own power, and it's the men over here are like, holy fucking shit. It's like, oh my goodness, will you slow down for a minute just for me to catch my breath and dig my heels in a little bit? Because I don't want to.
I don't know. I don't know. I got to give them some credit. You know, I mean, one thing about, we had a show last week with the two gentlemen we're going to have in an hour. or 45 minutes. And one of the things that came out was we were trying to say, okay, here's our journey from our perspective. And it actually worked a little bit because some of the women were saying, oh, I never understood that. I never knew that. And one of it was everything we've done, as flawed as it was, came from our heart, trying to take care of her. So I would say this, that I think the energy is at a point now where they will bust their ass. They will bust their ass because we've moved into a different type of energy now. It's all based on feeling. And so the more she went into that, you described so perfectly earlier, the more he's being affected. I mean, I'm lit up. Every cell in my body's chilled. So I know this is there's some truth to this. I mean, so I think I don't want to sound like I'm diminishing anything, but I think it's time that he has faith in himself,
Yes.
And get off the tit, and just have faith, just have faith in himself. And what's his driver? His driver is that energy that we would call the divine feminine. That is his driver. Every single thing he did and does is to further that, and that's his role in creation. That creates the holy triad, and then Tesla's 369 takes off, and the rest is history.
Well, and I even say this with my man, is the depth of the divine feminine and the love and the caring. And even though this marriage is falling apart, we've had breaks in the past where needing to do everything he good is what it means to be a good man and a caring man, to try to see the level of honor and integrity with what family means. So being on the outside looking at it, like, it sucks when you have those lonely nights and you're throwing your temper tantrums and you just want, I just want what I want and I want it right now, on those nights it has passed. But then in the process though, too, I really do see is the kindness and caring, and as slow as his breakdown is, it's taken me this long to get to where I am. And I see the depth of love and caring that I know that when he finally is able to return home to my side and truly physically be under the same roof, he will love me with that same love and devotion.
Oh, yeah, it'll even be more than that. That's another story. But
I think you must be either a Pisces or Sagittarius.
I'm Sagittarius.
Oh, okay, well that explains it. Like, Sagittarius is just always Pisces, and Sagittarius I can just talk and talk and talk and talk to.
Yeah, well, your sister over here too, so But
she's Sagittarius too.
Mm-hmm.
Pisces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pisces. Yeah. So I was going to say the last thing I wanted to say on that for the men and for the women to know too, it's the truth. All right. So I don't give a damn what his circumstances are, what my circumstances were, or whatever. The only thing that will keep him from her is fear. I would put other names on it, like fear and bullshit. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it's the old human heart, guilt, shame programming, egoic programming. And really, when you get down to it, they're just excuses. They're just excuses. It's just fear. You can say, I've got this going on and I can't leave for this and I can't do that. It's just fear. And I chose a great partner, and she, put my feet to the fire once or 100 times. but I have faith. I have faith in the man, and I have faith in the divine man, in the sacred masculine, and I know the power, and it has nothing to do with the power we thought we had. Nothing at all. So the quicker you get butt naked, cut your balls off, get on your knees and surrender. I did it on June 27th of this past year. And
is that when you got married?
No, I actually got married about 2 or 3 weeks before that.
And then you got your balls cut off? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, we separated. No, that's what happened. we got married, the divine union, and then she had to go back. And I think it was actually July 27th. So it would have been like 4 or 5 weeks later. But when she was flying back to Australia, she heard from her higher self, he's got to go do something. Leave him alone. You know, don't baby him. Don't just leave him alone, which she never does anyway. So I was in the hotel room and it all came down. You know, I mean, I ran out of money. I was it just doesn't matter the details, but the whole point is I surrendered. I got on my knees and I said, I surrender. Take my fucking balls, take my sexuality, take everything from it, everything that makes me a man or I thought was a man. And from that point, and let me just say this to the men too, you don't just flip the switch and everything's cool. It's like you said, ascension is, you know, is painful or whatever, however you put it at the top of the show. But so, yeah, but you know what? It's been a hell of a journey. It's been what now, 7-8 months later. And, you know, I see the magic like I've never seen it before. And the power of the divine union is yeah, as of today, something we're going to be talking a lot about on this show, you know, because it's important. It's important for everybody. Yeah.
Well, and I love it that you say the magic. You know, the magic is like, it's magic. This whole, it's magic. The downs and the highs and the lows and the change, but it's magic. It is pure magic. What is occurring? Yeah. And we forget, sometimes we forget the magic. We forget the magic in all the death and dying that we're going through to get there.
Yeah, and it opens up a whole bunch of subcategories, including sacred sexuality. And I'm here to tell the men too. All that stuff we used to do,
it's not even close.
It doesn't apply. It's not even close. I mean, I know in my former life, I reached, you know, for all intents and purposes, the highest, you know, and lowest points of, you know, physical, not intimacy, but sex, you know, but this is ridiculous. I mean, this is, you know, when you can run your finger in a circle on her back or, you know, around her.
I could feel that.
Yeah. And actually have multiple orgasms in your own internal body, you know, because I mean, we're talking about pure energy, free energy, creative life force. And this is what I'm getting is we've gotten to a point, all of us now, all the work's been done, game over, game on. And we're actually creating something that's never been created before. We're taking all that Akashic knowledge and wisdom we came into this life with. We're applying our experience, and now we're on the playground. And so
there's so much incredible power in that sexuality. I think it was back in 2014. And I reconnected with my first love from my early 20s, and we spent a weekend and hooked up. We were intimate. But he knew about Tantra and runs energy, not nearly in the same way I do, but okay, hopefully this isn't too, but when that penis enters the vagina with having that consciousness, it's like it was a key that got turned and so much got unlocked inside of me. It took a key within and unlocking it. It instantly opened up all the goddess energies, divine energies purely. And it literally took me 6 months to balance it all out because the goddess came in full force. And it was from that sexual. And it wasn't necessarily about the sacred act, but he knew how to use energy and the soul connection we have in all the lives. It all came together in this way. But it blew my mind. And it wasn't because of the sex. It was because of everything that opened. Well, the sex did too, but
absolutely. When we are intimate can be a lot of things. All right. It can be clothes on, clothes off. It can be whatever, you know, but this looks nothing like, let me just say, it looks nothing like where we came from. Right. But when that happens, we get huge, huge shifts, huge epiphanies, visitations. I mean, whatever. I mean, interdimensional experiences, portals appearing over the house that we're in. I mean, what's going on? So there's something to it, and I don't think the human can understand everything. I think it's like you were talking about, all that stuff's over. You just kind of it's like a living, being, doing. It's that kind of thing. It all flows together. I appreciate everything that you brought up, and I'm glad that we've connected today. And I look forward to a collaboration as soon as next week. I know you've got some time on your hands. So as long as we've got a place, and I know I have faith that we will. I mean, we're, this 2 to 3 days at a time thing is trying, but we're committed to broadcasting, and we do appreciate everybody's love and support contributions, because, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So I'm going to have to say goodbye before I start bawling like a baby. All right.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much for having the courage to step out. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back in 30 minutes with another show. Thank you. Bye-bye.